Well, I didn't realize that a few years ago that women had a limited number of eggs. And when they reach a certain age, they run out of eggs. So that means they can't have any babies. But science has come to the rescue. And women are waiting longer than ever to start a family because of their professional obligations. But if they wait too long, it can be difficult to get pregnant, if not impossible. But now they have another alternative. Our Lorie Johnson shows us the technology of egg freezing that can essentially halt the progress of the biological clock.
Ashley Skidmore is a 24-year-old writer living in Los Angeles. Biologically, this is the best time for her to have a baby, but that doesn't exactly fit with her lifestyle plans.
I definitely want to have kids someday. 10, 15 years, maybe. I mean, I've got a career to take care of first, before I can take care of a human being.
She's not alone. The number of women waiting to start a family until after age 35 is up 150% since the 1970s.
A demanding career isn't the only reason women put off trying to get pregnant. The main reason is they just haven't found Mr. Right.
Sadly, when many of these women are ready, their eggs are no longer viable. Dr. Jeffrey Steinberg is a fertility specialist.
Women are most fertile from basically the time they get their first period up until about the early 30s. There's a definite decline in the fertility rates at age 35, and there's a drastic fall off the cliff at age 40.
Not only is it more difficult to conceive as a woman ages, the baby's health can also be affected. The good news is a woman can now beat the biological clock by freezing her young, healthy eggs.
It's a simple procedure. There's no incisions, there's no cuts. It's all done with ultrasound guidance. Takes about 30 to 45 minutes, does not hurt, and the woman is back to her normal activities the next day.
Her eggs are stored in liquid nitrogen until she's ready to use them.
We've become very, very good at accurately predicting that the eggs will make it through the freeze and the thaw process and even onto a baby.
This practice has led to the births of an estimated 2,000 babies.
Before we do these procedures, we do some basic blood work on women that give us very important clues that the eggs are in good shape.
Unfortunately, some of them are not in good shape because the woman waited too long to try to freeze them.
But the problem is, in the late 30s, they haven't gotten near the chance that they have in the early 20s. So it's a terrible dilemma for us. We wish they would have come in sooner.
Elizabeth Higgins Clark got the message.
I'm so glad I did it.
The Hollywood actress froze her eggs in her 20s.
I started realizing that I knew I wanted to have children. I've always wanted to have children, but I knew that I wasn't close to being ready to have children.
She says her decision relieved the anxiety that's so common among women her age.
There's something about it that makes me feel like I'll never have to make a decision out of fear, and that's the best part of it.
The price of egg freezing runs between $9,000 and $15,000. Since most 20-somethings don't have access to that kind of money, fertility clinics typically offer financing with monthly installments about the same as a car payment.
Some companies like Apple and Facebook offer insurance plans that cover egg freezing. So for women hoping to get pregnant later in life, freezing their eggs early on could improve their chance at motherhood.
Man, it's a brave new world. Lorie's here with us. Lorie, all right, a woman takes egg, puts egg in cryo chamber, whatever.
Liquid nitrogen.
Liquid nitrogen,
Brr.
and it's fast frozen, like a vegetable.
Right, right, and that's what does it. This technology really took a leap forward 3 years ago when they started flash freezing the eggs because they don't get freezer burn anymore like they used to.
Of an egg getting freezer burn. Okay, well, now what happens next? Now, you don't have a baby, you got an egg. So
right.
Where do you get there's a male somewhere involved, or is there?
Right. So when the man comes on the scene, sometimes in the late 30s, 40s, or wherever, you take one sperm, you thaw the egg, and you inject the sperm into the egg, and then place the egg in the woman's uterus where it grows to be a child.
Don't you let it grow first to get to be an embryo, and then you insert?
Usually about 1 to 5 days they
Yeah?
do that
That's what
after they inject the one sperm into the one egg. So there are no leftover embryos, which is what we often face with IVF, which is a very controversial ethical and religious
What
issue.
if it's a weird Dr. Strangelove like that guy up in Northern Virginia who had about 300 or 400 babies? I mean, where'd you get all that sperm? Where's it come from?
Okay, well, what happens is when the woman freezes her eggs, then she'll, whatever, she either has a husband later, but she identifies the man that she wants to father her children.
Good grief.
And we get the sperm from him, and I don't think you want me to go into detail about how that happens, right?
Well, you don't have to. I think we get the
People
message.
can use their imagination.
But that's how it happens.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, she wants a tall husband, a short husband, a muscular husband, a skinny husband, and so she wants a smart. You know, a wonderful thing that Shaw said to the actress. This actress was in. She said, "Well, why don't we have an affair, make a baby, and he'll be as smart as you and pretty as me?" And he said, "Well, what if he was as pretty as me and as smart as you?"
Wah, wah. That didn't work out the way you planned.
So you never know. Okay. But in other words, the whole idea of coupling now is divorced. I mean, it is now in the hands of the scientists what kind of babies you have.
Well, I think the problem here with a lot of these, with the main impetus for egg freezing, is that women aren't finding the right man when they're fertile. In other words, when they're in their 20s, that's the ideal time to have a baby, and that's when a woman's eggs are good.
Okay.
And they're not getting around to the idea of childbearing until they're much older, and they're finding that their eggs aren't any good anymore, which is sad.
Well, how about
and young women don't understand this, that their prime childbearing years are in their 20s. Really, these young women aren't getting the message, you know, that their eggs are better.
Do they run out of gas after 20 or 30 or 40?
No,
They keep on,
no, that's another thing that you guys have on us. You can have children in your 70s and your sperm is fine until then.
I'm
but
so happy.
women.
I'm sure men of the world arise. You have nothing to lose.
But the point here is, though, that a woman's eggs are ideal in her 20s,
Okay.
and you can freeze them and put them in suspended animation. So you could be 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, and your eggs are still in their
And then
20s.
you can pick the father of your children as you go down the line. You want one that's wealthy and handsome and all that.
And a Christian, most
Christian,
importantly, loves the
please.
Lord.
I'm glad to
that
hear
should be the #1 criteria for these
glad to
women.
hear that.
And you know, you actually brought up a good point. Is a lot of these women, when they get into their late 30s, they think, uh-oh, I've got to have a baby. So they settle for Mr. Wrong because they think, oh, well, you know, I really want to have a baby. He's kind of the only guy on the horizon, so I guess I'll go with him.
You know, when I was growing up, it was kind of like you fell in love and you had children, and it was all so sweet. Now it's all so clinical. You make you think, oh my
Right, well, you know, society has changed, but biology has not.
Yeah, I'm afraid
that's
not.
the
Okay.
message to these young girls is, yeah, you can have your careers and everything,
All right,
but it's
how
still
does the
best
young
to
girl
have
in her
children in your 20s.
How in the 20s she get the 10 grand and take her 15 to get this done?
Well, if they have generous parents or grandparents, instead of, you know, buying your child a car for her graduation from
That's it.
college, or grandparents who
Freeze her eggs.
you know, sometimes grandparents put down payments on a house for their grandchildren. Maybe they could put a down payment on a grandchild.
I can see
That's
she's
not a
walking,
bad idea.
walking down. She gets her diploma, and Daddy gives her 10,000. I go freeze your eggs.
Yeah, because I
please.
want to be a grandfather one day. No, but they do, seriously though, they do have the payment plans.
Okay.
You know, for $250 a month for a couple years.
I don't know. It scares me to death, but I think it's probably a good thing. It helps people have
It's
children.
an option.
An option. Phew. Have you've got a lot of interest in this, don't you?
I do, because you know what?
What?
I have a daughter in her 20s.
Oh no!
She says, Mom, should I freeze my eggs? I'm not ready to have a baby yet.
Mom gonna write the check?
I said, well, I am not ready to be a grandmother yet either. So, yeah. So,
Boy.
am I going to write the check?
Yeah.
I told her to ask her dad.
Okay, well, let Dad do it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is The Cutting Edge, and you're watching it here on the 700 Club, and I appreciate Lorie. She's in the cutting edge of science and a brave new world.